this is an introductory section. We will be using .NET Core and Visual Studio 2019. We will be discussing on how to create your first web application and how to run it and understand the different components of a web application. And like this will be our first step if you are not if you have not created any web application before, or if you have created some, then you will get to know about the different components. All right, so worked with a VTran, worked with it at a previous job, haven't touched it since 2016, so forgotten most of it. Okay, so you are in for a surprise then, because a lot of things have changed since 2016 by now. Yeah, it's been 6 years. So yeah, a lot of things have changed since then. Definitely .NET Core is brand new to you. And if you have done things in the past, like there are certain similarities, but a lot has still changed when you look at the project structure, when you look at the solution structure, when you look at the folder structure, you will see that it's all very different from what it used to be 6 years ago. Awesome. All right. So first I wanted to go through a bit of introductions, like so that everybody could introduce themselves, but I see it's a very shy crowd. So I'll start with myself and let's see whoever wants to join in after that. So first of all, my name is Abhishek Jain. People call me Abhi. And I'm a lead developer here at a company called CornerStone OnDemand. They are located in Santa Monica. I work remotely from Florida for CornerStone OnDemand. So for me, the timing is a little bit weird. I work in Pacific time zone while being staying in Florida. So that's a little bit of a challenge, but so far it's been going good. I do these type of like trainings. I am a regular presenter at meetups. I think Greg and Michael can vouch for that as well at LA.net when it used to be in person, as well as even during pandemic. Try to keep it going as much as possible. I've been a .NET developer since beginning. Since beginning of my career. I've been working with .NET for more than 12 years now. So yeah, I've seen through all the phases of .NET frameworks so far, like whatever through my career. I'm a husband. I'm also a father of 5-year-old. So I still remember Michael congratulating me for when my son was born. So time flies. And this is my LinkedIn handle. So if you are interested and would like to connect with me, linkedin.com/in/coach4dev. That handle is the same that I use even for my YouTube channel. I also have a YouTube channel where I upload technical interview questions and answers. So if you are interested, you can take a look at those. There are some good questions like on like certain technical questions on how to answer them. Like there are certain tips and tricks on those. So I've uploaded them on YouTube. You can check them out. All right. Anybody else wants to introduce themselves? Let's see. Who wants to go? Oh, Delhi is also in the same time zone as me. Okay, awesome. All right. Okay, Delhi wants to go. Go ahead, buddy. You are still muted.
Okay. My name originally is Oluwole Adeleke. I was born in New York City. I was raised basically in New York and all over the world because my parents travel. I'm first generation American. I am married. My daughter's graduating college this weekend. So I know how time flies when you have a daughter. Trust me, Abby. And yes, right now I'm in Virginia working on a government, but I used to be in the Navy. And I am a senior software engineer supporting a logistics program. And funny enough, I was a logistics specialist when I was active duty. So that's a boomerang. That's why I was asking Greg if he still lived in the city or not, because we go home every Christmas. I've had over 10 years experience. I remember when I came back after I left the Navy, I came back to it at ASP.NET 4. So I've seen the progression from ASP.NET 4 all the way right now. I'm working with Visual Studio 2022 with ASP.NET 6. I think they dropped the core after 5. So it's now ASP.NET only. That's to signify, to unify the whole group people, you know. So I'm a senior developer now.
Great, great, awesome, awesome. Thanks, Billy. Thanks for the introduction. That was really nice. Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Anybody else who wants to go? I see Sean is promoted. Okay, Sean is unmuted.
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, Sean. Yes.
Great. I'm a developer mainly focused on JavaScript for about 6 or 7 years, and just wanted to join this to get a little bit more into the .NET side. Yeah, just looking to gain a better understanding of it.
Where are you from?
Nice.
Like what area? What city?
I'm in LA, born and raised in Hollywood.
Hollywood.
Nice. Great, great, awesome, awesome. Thanks, Sean. Anybody else?
I think Greg and I already introduced ourselves in the beginning, so I think that's accurate, right, Greg? Yeah.
That counts, yeah. Okay, I see everybody else is quite like it's of a shy group. Guys, we usually do not bite, so yeah, you can join in. No? Okay. All right. So, okay, I usually start my presentations with one of the tech or a dev joke. So let's get started with that. Oh, not like here. It's a slideshow. Already discussed this. All right. When do programmers go to ophthalmologist? You can even write your answers in the chat.
I don't know what an ophthalmologist.
Oh, the eye doctor.
Eye doctor. Oh, so.
Yeah, the eye doctor. Yes. Okay, I think Money did provide some answer, and that is right. Anybody else? After committing the code to production, it's still not working. But I see Money. Yeah, I think you were right, man. You are exactly right. So when they cannot C#. I think Sean is a JavaScript developer. So that's when they go to ophthalmologist. All right, awesome. So yeah, if you are still here, that means you like the tech and dev jokes. So that means you are still in the right group. Awesome, awesome. All right. So let's get started. .NET Core. Anybody wants to go? What is .NET Core? Anybody heard of it? I know people have heard of it, or some people have at least heard of it. But anybody wants to take a stab at it, like what is .NET Core or anything that they know about .NET Core? Okay, Delhi, sure, go ahead.
.NET Core is actually the lightweight version of the original ASP.NET. because what Microsoft trying to do is to make sure years and years ago, when you used to use ASP.NET, there were libraries and methods and stuff that will be loaded that you don't need per se. So because like ASP.NET Core came to the scene, you'll have to use nuggets for certain thing and just pull in as you need it. So it's supposed to be a lightweight version of the original ASP.NET. That's the best way I understood it.
Sure. Yes, it is. So you are right. Exactly, Delhi. Like it is, but it is the newer version. It is the newer version of .NET. And sure, it is lighter than the previous ones. That is. So that's why you are right that it is lighter than the old stuff. It is much more faster, much more sleek, and you can add whatever you want to add to it, and all the functionalities are still available. Yeah, but it's a newer version. Yes. So exactly right. Awesome. Joe mentioned it is open source. Yes, that is also correct. So that is something that some people might be in for a good surprise, especially if somebody is coming back to .NET after a long time. That
Yeah.
hey, what happened? .NET is now open source. So that was not the norm from Microsoft back in the day, but now I think with .NET Core and the new things that they are doing, it is becoming more and more open source friendly. Then Mani mentioned it is cross-platform, so that is exactly right too. Yes, it is cross-platform. Anybody else? Other than Joe, Mani, and Ellie. Okay. Greg mentioned .NET Core allows easier transition to Azure Cloud, JavaScript frameworks and libraries, Python, etc. Sure. Yeah. Better integration with cloud, and not just Azure Cloud. You can even use AWS or Google Cloud Platform or whichever is your choice. But yeah, definitely that is also true. It is easier integration. However, you can still deploy your code on any cloud, even if it is not .NET Core. That is also possible. That is also supported. But yeah, with the .NET Core, you get a lot better integration. It came from the days of MFC, Microsoft Foundation classes. Okay.
Now I meant as a lineage.
What is it?
As a lineage.
Lineage. Okay. Got it. Okay. Yeah. All right. So exactly right. I mean, I think most of the people got the answer about .NET Core. That's exactly right. So first of all, .NET Core is free. It's cross-platform. It's open source. It's platform for building many different types of applications, right? You can build using .NET Core. You can build a web application. You can build mobile application. You can build desktop application. You can build IoT and game development. You can do so many things using this .NET Core framework. That yeah, it's just that you just pick, okay, this is the type of application that I want to create, and you can get started pretty quickly. So that is the good part. All right, next, anybody what is Visual Studio? IDE. LJ mentioned IDE. Delhi has his hand up again. Awesome, Delhi, go ahead.
Integrated development environment, which is the same as IDE. So
that's right. Awesome. Anything else about Visual Studio? Wait, I do. Jeffrey saying I do. Okay. So yeah, exactly right. Visual Studio is the IDE, and it's like it's the tool that you will use for building your .NET application. You can use other tools too if you want to. That is perfectly fine. But Visual Studio is something that is provided by Microsoft, and which is something that is the default choice for developers when they want to use .NET for any kind of development. Now, it's a comprehensive IDE for .NET developers. So what all you can do using this, you can not only just simply code, but you can build your application, you can debug your application, you can apply breakpoints, you can step through your code, you can there is so much of functionality that is available just by the IDE itself. You can look at the variable values while debugging. So all those things, all those functionalities are available to you from Visual Studio. And now you can even deploy your code just from Visual Studio itself. You have so many integrations with each and every like different providers. Like suppose if you're using Azure or AWS, you can just simply with the click of a single button, you can deploy your code all the way in any environment, just while you are still inside Visual Studio. So you have so many plugins, you have so many tools available that they can do that for you without you even leaving Visual Studio. All right, so that was about Visual Studio. Next, for creating our web application, we use something called, let's read the chat, I missed some couple of things. Development IDE using C#, VB.NET, Visual C++, that's right, Greg. VS Code more, VS Code more than Visual Studio. Okay, sure, thanks, Joe. You can check in and check out code. Yes, Delhi, that is right too. Awesome, yeah. So you can do all that using Visual Studio, exactly right. All right, so now for creating a web application, we use this something called MVC. Now, anybody knows what is MVC and why do we use this? It's been there in our industry for quite a long time now. MVC, this term has been used a lot, and wanted to see okay, first of all, is everybody familiar with what we mean by MVC?
I think what we mean by MVC, the reason why it's so popular is because it's part of the separation of concerns from the old monolithic application where back in ASP.NET days, your front end development and your logic and your front end, your business logic and your processing all on one page. Now, with the invention of this MVC, if you just want to make something jazzy for the view, you don't need to touch the model or the controller. You just need to touch the view and make sure you add the right libraries, JavaScript and stuff like that on the shared. And if business changes, which businesses changes, right? You could go to the model and redo your processes, and you could do the controller separate from the model and the view. As part of that Martin Fowler's software architecture, enterprise architecture thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that is exactly right. Thanks, Delhi. So MVC is it is telling you in a loose architecture that okay, this is what you should be doing, right? So before MVC, I think web forms used to be the norm, where you used to dump in everything in single file, including the business logic, including the UI code, including your whatever is supposed to be shown up on the page. All that is part of one single file. With MVC, you started separating them out, saying that, okay, if I want to put anything related to model or anything related to data, okay, that should be going inside the model. Anything that is related to the UI, that, okay, I want this text showing up as part of my as part of my label, then all that logic should be going into the view. So that will be all going into the view. And then controller is gonna make sure of the routing. So like any request that comes in, I want to make sure that if somebody is going into my application with the URL www. whatever my URL is /user/1, then this is how I want my request to be handled. All that information or all that logic goes into the controller.
Yeah.
And controller will orchestrate that, okay, this is what should be triggered, and I want you to run this, compute all the data that I want to be shown on the page, and then return the correct view that, okay, this is the UI, or this is exactly how the page should be rendered. All that information is orchestrated by the controller. So all that information, like this type of separation of concern, is really helpful in writing your web application and maintaining it for a long run. If you know that this is the place where you should be looking for, if suppose you want to make some small UI change, then you know exactly where to go. You will be going to the view. If you want to make some business logic change, some data related change, then okay, okay, you should be going here. It gives a very good understanding of all the default places that this is where this is how I should be debugging. This is how I should be building. This is how I should be maintaining my code, and this is how I should be probably adding more features. So it gives you a very good idea of what to do and where to put your code. So that is MVC. MVC stands for Model, View, and Controller. So hey, somebody added something to the chat. Let me see. You explained it really well, Delhi. Awesome. Yes. Thanks, Christy. So yeah, as you have seen here, like model, it is helping you define the data. View is helping you define the UI, and controller is helping you define that, like all the logic. That this is what I should be doing. This is the final thing that will get rendered. All right. Okay. So next, what we want to do is, so these were some basic terminologies or basic things that I wanted you to make sure that you are familiarized and familiar with these terms. Next, what we're going to do is we'll be creating our first web application. So I want to ask how many people have Visual Studio or .NET installed on their machine where they can follow along. Okay, Delhi has it. Awesome. Thanks, Delhi. Sean has it. Awesome. Let's see people. Okay, VS Code. Awesome. VTran. Christy says she uses VS Code. Awesome. Yes, I do. Remotely, Visual Studio 2019, .NET Core. Greg. Awesome. All right. So, so let's get started then. Let's create our first web application. So, and if somebody does not have access to Visual Studio or anything, they can just simply take a look at this and follow along and probably do it on their own whenever they want to. So here I am. I'm gonna say create a new project. Okay, so here you can choose that what is the type of application that you want to create, like a console application or a web application, or you have so many other options. So I will be choosing ASP.NET Core Web Application using C# and yeah, I will get probably all those options here. But yeah, this is my ASP.NET Core Web Application. I'm gonna choose that. I'm gonna hit next. I can name it anything. So let's name it LA.NET Yeah, that's like a good name. And I'm gonna hit create. So what this is doing is it is scaffolding a web application for me. Okay, so next it is asking me what kind of application you want to create. Do you want to create an empty, an API, or a web application, or a web application with model view and controller, and so on. So I'm going to choose the one with model view and controller so that I have some default code to show when we run the application. So, and I'm going to uncheck this configure for HTTPS. I don't really need that. Keep it simple. I don't need any authentication for now. But if I wanted to add some authentication by default, like a username, password, or some other way of authentication mechanism, then I could add that here as well at the start, or I can add that later as well if I really want to. All right, so I chose this and I'm going to hit create. Anybody has any questions or anything so far? All right. Okay. So as you guys can see, this is our first application that has been created, and you can see you have these three folders also that comes to you by default: controller, models, and views. Is anybody following along or like, you know, doing the step with me or not? See in the chat. Can't run VS at the same time as Zoom. Audio gets choppy for me. Oh, okay. Maybe because the CPU is not able to handle the load. Okay. Delhi wants to say something. Go ahead, Delhi.
Yes, I just wanted to mention that you quickly glossed by the authentication side, but it might be great, just thinking out loud, that you want to mention that the core also support authentication by your Google account, Facebook, and the fact that it does other external authentication, that you don't have to use the default SQL to store the local database for authentication. Just a quick mention, that's all.
Yes. So you can do that. Yes, you can enable OAuth 2.0 for any kind of authentication, and you can configure the provider as any of these OAuth 2.0 providers like Google, Facebook, Twitter, any of those, and then you will get that option, like, you know, like the way you see it in many applications: login using Google, login using Twitter.
Yeah.
And then there will be a pop-up like asking you for your Twitter credentials, and then you just put in your Twitter credentials, and then behind the scenes it will get you authenticated. And next time when you come to the same web application, then you can just simply log in next time using your Twitter or whichever provider you used for logging into the web application. And that is perfectly safe. That is perfectly good. And that is like some web applications prefer to go that route too. It keeps it easy for the customers. It keeps it easy for the end users. And even for us, even for the people who are creating their web applications, you don't have to manage any kind of credentials. So,
exactly.
So that is also on your part. Yeah. Sorry, which version are you using? Which version of Visual Studio or which version of .NET, Christy? .NET Core, yes. Probably 3, I guess. Let me double check that. .NET 5, okay. Yep. I must have upgraded, forgot, but yeah. So I'm using .NET 5 here. Isn't the latest .NET 6? Probably I don't have that installed,
Yeah.
but yeah. But yeah, feel free to use that. Like, I don't think there is any big change that has happened since 5 versus 6 here. But yeah, you can use that too. I probably did not get a chance. So all right. Okay, so this is our model view and controller. And without making any changes here, what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to simply run this application. So here I'm going to just click on this button called Iis Express. And what that will do is, this is something that is like a lightweight version of Iis that is provided to us, which can be used to run our web application right here from Visual Studio. So I'm just going to hit run on this. I think we need Visual Studio 2022 to run .NET Core 6. Okay, yeah, that's why probably I don't have it, because yeah, I have only Visual Studio 2019. So now this is building it for the first time. It's going to take a few seconds extra because it is doing it for the first time. .NET Core 5, awesome. Okay, awesome. All right, looks like it is loading. Oops, something happened. Okay, check the system event log for errors. Okay, what did I miss out? Attach a debugger and inspect. Try one more time. Maybe not enough memory.
Should be.
I have my video on and Zoom taking up a lot of time, maybe. Let's see. Okay, something is off. I will have to attach a debugger and see what's going on. Yeah. Okay. That is a good thing too, because now you can see some debugging in action here. So let's see. We'll add some breakpoints everywhere. See what all happens in here and in here. Index here. Let's see. Let's hit it again. Any idea, Greg, on this one?
Oh, wait. Hey, Abby,
Yeah.
did you go inside the startup and maybe it has to say home/index? Because apparently if you look at the URL, it didn't say that. And the
I
startup
think by
file.
default it should go there, but yeah, it should go there by default, but
I'm just saying, okay.
sure, we can try that. The home controller index, I think by default it should automatically go there, but I can try putting it. I really doubt if that is the case. Now something else is off. In process handler load failure.
Oh, okay. I was just thinking, okay.
It is going here. Okay, Joe is saying it is working for him. No symbols have been loaded. Nothing. Try it one more time. Why is it even reaching here? Right?
it might be worth trying to change the hosting model to add a process and see if that works for your machine. Should be in the project
Hosting
section.
model. I did not understand, Greg, like what you just mentioned.
Yeah, can you load up the project file? Like, I think just double click on the la.net project in the
Like
solution.
this one, you want to see the properties? Oh, okay.
Yeah, go to debug. Like on the left.
Oh. Yeah.
Scroll down a bit. Yeah, so you see where it says hosting model default in process?
Mm-hmm.
Try out of process and see if that fixes anything. See if you want to save, rebuild, redeploy.
Okay, looks like it reached somewhere. Yeah, last time it wasn't even reaching here, so that's good. Man, Zoom takes a lot of, okay, yeah, I think we are in. Zoom takes a lot of RAM. All right.
Damn. Okay.
So we are here.
Good job, Greg.
Okay. All right, Greg, do you know about that on what is that in process and out of process thingy that we changed?
Yeah, I think there might be another package that you need to install, like for IIS to do the in-process hosting. So it allows IIS to host everything all inside like the one worker process, as opposed to probably like if you looked at Task Manager now, how it's running, there's going to be a separate process from the worker process that it's talking back and forth to. So I think, there's probably just like an IIS plugin that you need to install on this machine to get the new hosting model.
Got it. Okay, awesome. All right, yeah, so probably I did not have that thing installed or that extra thing that needed to be. Okay, awesome. Thanks, Greg. All right, so yeah, you saw some of the debugging in action too, right? Like, so that's the good part. Right. If it works in the first shot, like basically what I feel is like many times we don't get to learn much. But if it does not work in the first shot, at least we get to see something that, okay, this is why this is not working. Let's dig a little bit deeper and try to figure out, okay, what is the issue? What can go wrong? Let's put some breakpoints. Let's try out this thing. Let's try out that thing. And that is what we do almost every day as developers. Something is working, something is not working, and then whatever is not working, we try to make it work. So yeah, thanks, Greg, on that one. So Hector is saying breakpoints aren't stopping it. Yeah, no. So at that time it wasn't stopping it, but now this time, yes. When we fixed it, we were able to hit our breakpoints. We had added like 2 or 3 breakpoints. We hit each of them, and we were able to render the view. So this is the view for the home controller index view, and we can take a look at this guy here. Home controller in home index.
Somebody hand me my water, please. My water bottle. It's right on the sofa.
Delhi, can you please mute? Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. Okay. So this is so there are multiple views here that you can see in this folder, views folder. Let me move this a little bit more side, and you can see you have index page, you have privacy page. So these are the ones that get rendered when, like, the home index page is the one that got rendered just now, which when we just ran the application. And then we have other views as well. Now, one thing I want to point out in the views is, if you look at them, they are written in .cs HTML. What that means is it is a mixture of C# and HTML. This is called Razor syntax. Basically, it helps you write your C# and HTML mixed together as when you are writing your views. So that way you can even handle the data, its properties, and all that stuff. You can use whatever you want to render. Plus, you can write HTML as well. Like, okay, I want H1 header, I want my divs, I want my paragraph. So you get the power of both C# and HTML together in writing your views. Models are just simply your C# classes, like with the properties that, okay, this is which are going to be used for handling the data, how you want to move the data around from one place to another. You will be creating the objects of these classes and will be passing them along from one place to another using these model classes. And this is the controller. With the controller, you can see, like, the convention that is followed is that it is always derived from the controller class, and you have these different action methods. These action methods have one-to-one relationship with the views. So you can see your action method index. So what that means is, like, when you are in your application, if you try to go to /home/index, then basically you are reaching this this action method, and it is returning a view. So the default convention is, if you do not provide a view name, it will actually go to views folder, home folder. So based on the controller, since controller name is home, it will look for the home folder here, and then it will look for index view here based on the action method name. So index.cshtml. So when you are calling this return view, at that time, it is basically calling index.cshtml. That's how you are returning this view. So that is the default convention. You can override this default convention. You can mention your view name if you really want to. Suppose here I want to say privacy.cshtml. You can provide that as well and say that, hey, I don't want index.cshtml, I want privacy.cshtml. You can override that. You have the full control on that. Other than that, what else? You can look at your app settings. Like, these are your settings that you use for like similar to your configuration files. So you can set up your application saying that, hey, I want to use these default values and things like these. So all those you can configure here. And yeah, you can add some dependencies and all those will show up here. Yeah, that is the basic overview. I'm thinking if there's anything else that we can add, or anybody. So anybody has any questions on MVC or the folder structure, or on how it works? Delhi has something. Go ahead, Delhi.
Okay, I just wanted to mention that under the app settings, that this is also where you add the connection strings if you're developing an MVC application with a backend database to it. So it will tell it where to put the data from and when to put the data to. Like if you had like for your authentication, if you had said local database or something like that, I forgot the exact wording, it will create a connection string under the app setting JSON.
Yeah, exactly right. So yeah, all these type of things like connection strings, or these are settings that I want to use some certain log levels, or I want to use something else. All those information you store in the app settings, this thing. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Telly. Anybody else has anything else? questions, any comments or anything that they want to add here? Even chat has been very silent. If anybody followed along, were they able to make it run, like in the once they created or scaffolded their first web application? All right, looks like it's Monday evening and everybody really wants to go back home and go back to sleep. Okay, all right, so that's fine. If you still have any questions or anything like that, definitely here is my information on how to connect with me. And if you still have any questions, leave it as a comment on Meetup on the LA.NET page that we have. Okay, LJ, I'm gonna answer your question. And Greg, okay, yeah, let's answer your questions. Let me finish up what I was just saying, and then we will come back to Greg and LJ. So yeah, what was I saying? Yes, if you still have any questions, feel free to leave a comment on the Meetup page on our and me or Greg or somebody else will definitely respond back. If you have any questions related to .NET, your .NET Core, or anything related to meeting, or anything that we can help you with. And yeah, here is my contact information. So if you haven't connected with me, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn too. And if you want to ask me any questions there as a message, I will try my best to respond back. And I accept everybody's connection requests. And if there is anything I can be of help, let me know as well. On LinkedIn. All right, now coming back to the questions, Greg. So Greg says that I don't see a app config or web config. Yes, so those files are, Greg, yeah, exactly. So that is old web forms and old .NET applications where you used to see those config files. Now you have these, everything is now in JSON format. So that's why you see app settings.json. And you will see like all your settings are now added, like whatever you used to put in your config files, now you put them in your these app settings JSON files. All right, next, LJ saying, do we still need to set up things like automapper and inversion of control, or are there newer core ways of doing that? So you still need these things. Inversion of control and automapper, these are first of all two separate things, inversion of control and automapper. And if you want to add them to your application, you can add them based on your needs. You can be using any kind of dependency injection mechanism. So inversion of control basically is like is the term, or is the like dependency injection is the way of doing injection inversion of control. So there are lots of dependency injection ways of doing it. I think Microsoft has its own, and then you have AutoFact. I'm trying to remember what else, like I think a few more. But you can pick and choose whichever you want to use, and then add it to your application, and then use that for injecting dependencies into your code. Now, for anybody who is not familiar with dependency injection, that is a little bit more of an, I would say, intermediate or advanced topic, where we inject dependencies at runtime, saying that, okay, we are just simply going to be using some interface, and what is the concrete implementation of the interface? We don't know yet at the time of writing, or at the time, like it can change when the code is run based on your data, based on your request, based on your workflow. So that is how you manage your dependencies within your code. And dependency injection frameworks really help you a lot in simplifying your code Otherwise, you will be doing a lot of code repetition if you do not use those. So are there newer core ways of doing that? I don't think so, no. You will be still using either Microsoft Dependency Injection or the AutoFac or anything like that. Does that answer your question, LJ? Yes, okay, awesome. All right, anybody else has any other questions? Delhi, you still have your hand up, or is that something, it is from the last time?
I just wanted to mention when you had the Visual Studio up, if you could open it back up, there's a feature on there that you didn't go over. It's on the corner right there. It says Live Share on the top right corner, which allows other developers to collaborate with you in brainstorming or double checking your code if you're needing collaboration from remote areas. I've used it a couple of times.
Right. Nice, awesome. Yeah, so you can basically collaborate with other developers while when you are developing together. So awesome. Yeah, that is another good feature. So LJ is asking, like, is there any other changes other than appsettings.json? Actually, that's a very good question. And let me show you some more things on that. So this is another thing, yes, I should have mentioned, or basically, thanks LJ for reminding me on this. Here is this folder called www.root. Whatever you put in this folder is directly accessible. So that is another big change. Like whatever you put here, you can just simply say, okay, I want to access /css/ this specific site.css file. So that is accessible. Like you don't need to add a specific controller or action method or anything like that for these specific things. These are your files which you want to be publicly accessible. So all those you can add here in your www root. Another thing is like your the way you look at your dependencies. All these things will show up in a very different way. You can see it is very different from what it used to be in your old .NET applications, pre.NET Core. Even your, I think the project file is of a different format. If you see that it is not in let me show you that as well. Open containing folder. So this is your CS proj file. Okay, yes. So look at this. Like again, this is very different from what it used to be earlier. Your CS proj file used to be a lot more stuff earlier. So now all that is like the structure of the whole thing is very different now. Just to show you some specific thingy, but okay, yeah. So it is not just that. A few more things have changed, LJ, not just app settings JSON. Any other questions? Awesome, thank you. On whether within the model do we add entity framework data layer file, or it is added separately after we download or add the entity framework extension to the VS Code solution. You will have to add entity framework to here. Is it automatically not added? Nope, it's not added, I think. Yeah, you will have to add it separately, and then you can use your, as somebody mentioned, yeah, you have to create a DB context and then use them, as you mentioned, yes, use it in your application. So for those who are not familiar, entity framework is something that you can use to interact with the database, and it is really good for if you want to create a boilerplate application with basic CRUD operations, then Entity Framework is really helpful. So you don't have to write a lot of SQL. All that comes to you by default without you writing even a single SQL or single database code. Like you can just simply say, okay, these are my entities, and this is how I want to be creating or updating or deleting the entities. And all that code is written for you behind the scenes. You don't have to write that by default. And Entity Framework is, again, it's a separate ballgame altogether, but it is really powerful. And once you get a hang of it, you will see that, okay, it helps you avoid writing a lot of basic code, which you don't really need to. Dapper seems faster than Entity Framework. Okay. All right. Do I agree? I am not sure. If I have seen their comparison myself. I have used Entity Framework myself. Yes, I have not used Dapper, but yeah, and I haven't seen their comparison either. All right. Anybody else has any other questions? I see people have already started dropping off. Okay. All right. Thanks, Lily. Thanks for the information. I'll take a look at it. All right. Okay. So yeah, feel free to connect with us. And if anybody else is interested in presenting at LA.NET, please do contact with us. We would encourage, we would really welcome, we would be really happy to see anyone who is interested in presenting a session here at LA.NET for anything that you want to talk about. We can discuss, like, okay, this is the topic that I want to talk about, and if that is something that can go at LA.NET. So please reach out to me, Greg, Michael, anyone amongst us, and we will be happy to take it forward from there. And yeah, that's all I had for today. If anybody else has any other questions, again, please connect with me, and yeah, I'll be happy to answer, or leave it on the meetup.com. Thank you everyone. Thanks for attending. It's over to you.
Thanks,
Greg.
Abhi.
Thanks, Abhi. Thanks for
Abhi.
everyone for attending. Super exciting to get to do another one of these. Like I said, if you have more questions, you can leave them on Meetup, or please join our Slack. We really want to encourage conversations between everyone in mediums like that as well. The recording of this will be up in the next couple of days. I'll throw the links in all the usual places on Meetup and Slack and Twitter and all that fun stuff. Special thanks to the couple of you who were brave and joined as panelists. Really, overall, I mean, it was awesome to see the interactions and everything. So, really want to encourage that. I'll just double down on what Abhi was saying before. If you have any topics that you're interested in speaking on, or even just that you're interested in seeing covered at the group, we're here for you all to make this a valuable time for the community. So if there's anything in particular that you're interested in seeing, let us know, and we'll go try and make that happen. But in the meantime, thanks again. Hope to see you all real soon. Thanks again to Abhi for giving another awesome talk to add to our collection, and for staying up on the later side. I know you kind of work a bit of every time zone here. But yeah, hope everyone has an awesome night. We'll see you real soon, but take care.